future Queen consort Camilla. She's given a rare interview about her life with Prince Charles and how she has learned to cope with criticism after decades in the spotlight.
Royal tensions have erupted behind closed doors, shaking the very foundation of the British monarchy. A private feud between Queen Camilla and Princess Catherine has escalated into a crisis with unprecedented consequences, including a lifetime ban and a shift in royal power. What triggered this fierce conflict, and how will it reshape the future of the crown? The British royal family has long been regarded as a symbol of tradition, unity, and stability. For decades, the public has seen carefully crafted images of harmony, smiling faces, polite handshakes, and joint appearances designed to present a united front. Behind the scenes, however, things have not always been as smooth. Recently, a significant rift has come to light within the monarchy, bringing to the surface tensions that have been simmering quietly for years. At the center of this emerging crisis are Queen Camilla, the consort to King Charles, and Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Their relationship, which has often appeared polite and professional in public, is reported to be deeply strained, marked by rivalry, jealousy, and long-standing disagreements. What began as private tensions has now exploded into what many insiders describe as the most personal crisis the royal family has faced in a generation. The story came into the spotlight following a rare interview given by Queen Camila, where she spoke candidly about her life with Prince Charles and the criticism she has endured over many years. Despite her efforts to support the monarchy and her husband, the Queen consort has often found herself the subject of public and media scrutiny. But the challenges she faces go beyond public opinion. According to sources close to the royal household, tensions with Catherine, the future queen, have reached a breaking point. Behind palace walls, these tensions have been quietly building for over a decade. Small remarks, subtle insults, and unspoken jealousies have created a growing divide between the two women. Although both have maintained a civil and composed public appearance, those familiar with the family dynamics reveal a very different story, one of silent conflict and competition. The immediate cause of the recent crisis was a heated meeting that was meant to be a routine royale strategy session. The meeting, attended by King Charles, Queen Camilla, Prince William, and Princess Catherine, quickly devolved into a confrontation. According to insiders, the disagreement was intense, with harsh words exchanged and emotions running high. Catherine reportedly left the meeting in tears, and Prince William was said to be deeply angered by what he heard, particularly some of Camilla's remarks directed at Catherine. This confrontation led to an unprecedented decision by Prince William. In a move that surprised many within the royal family, he banned Queen Camilla from all engagements involving his wife and children. This means no joint appearances, no family gatherings, and no shared moments in public or private settings with the Wales family. It is a strict and personal sanction that has effectively removed Camilla from the future inner circle of the royal family. The significance of this action cannot be understated. While there have been past scandals involving senior royals, including financial disputes and controversies, a personal and private ban of this nature is virtually unheard of. Even Prince Andrew, who faced public disgrace, was not subjected to such a private and calculated exclusion within family circles. The tensions between Camilla and Catherine have their roots in long-held resentments. Camilla, who has had to work hard to gain acceptance within the royal family after years of public controversy and criticism, reportedly never fully accepted Catherine as the future queen. From the beginning, Camilla was suspicious of Catherine's rise and the public's affection for her. Catherine's background, her impeccable public image, and her growing popularity were viewed by Camilla as both a threat and a source of irritation. Former palace aides recall instances where Camilla made veiled comments about Catherine's middle-class upbringing and mannerisms, as well as her reliance on public sympathy. One aide remembered Camilla saying, "She knows how to smile for the cameras, I'll give her that." Another insider mentioned Camilla privately mocking the Middleton family's business ventures, dismissing them as tacky party nonsense. Despite these tensions, Catherine often chose to remain silent publicly, maintaining a polite distance and focusing on her duties and children. Over time, the relationship grew even more complicated. Camilla's role as queen consort gave her more influence, and she began to bring her own family closer to the royal fold, including her children and grandchildren. Many saw this as an attempt to establish a rival branch within the monarchy, blurring the lines between royal bloodlines and marriage connections. Catherine, who had worked hard to protect her children's privacy, reportedly found these efforts to include Camilla's grandchildren in official royal ceremonies unsettling. The media played a role in shaping public perception of the feud. Reporters close to Camilla's camp subtly shifted the narrative to paint Catherine as too reserved and stage-managed, while promoting Camilla as the stabilizing, experienced matriarch. These attempts, however, backfired, with royal observers and the public largely siding with Catherine and criticizing Camilla's actions. The breaking point came during the now infamous meeting at Clarence's house, intended to discuss the royal calendar and upcoming events. What should have been a routine discussion quickly escalated when Camilla questioned the need for Catherine's presence at a planned joint appearance with the king and queen consort. She reportedly said, "Do we really need Catherine there? Sometimes she has a propensity to make everything about herself." The room went silent, and Catherine asked for clarification. Camilla's reply was said to be dismissive. "People come to see the king, not a fashion show." Catherine responded calmly, stating, "I am not here for attention. I'm here for duty." But the moment that shattered any remaining goodwill was when Camilla, leaning forward, said, "As Diana was." The name of Diana, the late Princess of Wales, is known within royal circles as a red line that should never be crossed. Camilla's use of the name in this context was seen as a deliberate and personal attack on Catherine. The room reportedly froze. Catherine stood up, her voice unsteady, and declared that Camilla would never speak to her again before leaving in tears. Prince William followed shortly after, his expression filled with anger. What followed is still subject to speculation, but sources claim Prince William confronted Camilla directly, informing her that she had crossed an unforgivable line. King Charles attempted to intervene, but his words were unheard amid the tension. William made it clear that Camilla had disrespected both his wife and his mother, and warned that she should not expect to see his family again. The meeting ended with a sense of collapse. Staff described the atmosphere as radioactive, with advisors scrambling to rewrite press releases and reschedule events. One senior assistant admitted, "We all knew this day was coming, but we didn't expect it to blow up like that." In the aftermath, Catherine reportedly broke down privately, not from weakness, but from the weight of years of perseverance and the pain of the moment. Prince William, aware of the significance, understood that he had a responsibility not only as a husband, but also as a future king and guardian of his mother's legacy. The crisis was not just family drama. It was a defining moment for the monarchy. Prince William's response to the confrontation was decisive. In the hours after the meeting, he issued a private but firm order banning Queen Camilla from any engagements involving his wife or children. This was not a temporary measure, but a permanent stance. No more combined events, no overlapping tours, no shared holiday appearances, and no formal or informal contact with the Wales family. This decision sent shockwaves through the royal household. Private secretaries immediately began redrawing event calendars, and senior aides rerouted invitations. The palace press office, caught off guard, was tasked with managing a logistical and public relations realignment. William's decision was extraordinary for its clarity and firmness. No senior royal in recent memory has been privately sanctioned in such a calculated manner. His authority came not from a formal title alone, but from the public's trust in him and Catherine. Over the years, they had built a reputation for dignity, discipline, and self-control, earning widespread respect. It is important to note that this ban does not remove Camilla from her ceremonial role alongside King Charles or strip her of her title. Instead, it strategically cuts her out of the Wales family's future and restricts her access to key family events. For Camilla, this marks a significant reduction in her influence and standing within the monarchy. Meanwhile, King Charles found himself caught in the middle of this growing divide. Deeply saddened and divided between loyalty to his wife and the realities of his son's decision, Charles attempted to mediate but faced resistance. His efforts to reconcile the family privately have reportedly been difficult and one-sided. The crisis has highlighted the fragility of the monarchy's carefully maintained image. For Charles, whose reign has been marked by a desire to modernize and unify, the feud represents a painful and public challenge. It raises questions about the future direction of the royal family and the role each member will play. In summary, the personal conflict between Queen Camilla and Princess Catherine has escalated beyond private disagreements to a defining moment for the British monarchy. Prince William's firm stance marks a new chapter in royal family dynamics, emphasizing respect and loyalty as non-negotiable principles. As the royal family navigates this crisis, the world watches closely, aware that the outcomes could shape the institution's future for years to come. The tensions between Queen Camilla and Princess Catherine extend far beyond the recent confrontation at Clarence House. Their relationship has been shaped by years of unspoken rivalry, misunderstandings, and contrasting approaches to life within the royal family. This ongoing feud has been fueled by differences in background, personality, and public perception, creating a complicated dynamic that has tested the monarchy's ability to maintain a united front. Camilla's path to acceptance within the royal family was neither simple nor smooth. After years marked by controversy and public criticism, she eventually became Queen Consort following King Charles's ascension to the throne. However, acceptance did not come easily, and many within the palace circle say she never truly embraced Catherine as the future queen. From the outset, Camilla appeared wary of Catherine's presence in the family. Catherine, known for her polished public image, middle-class origins, and growing popularity, was seen by Camilla as both an outsider and a rival. This perception was compounded by Camilla's own history of being portrayed in the media as a controversial figure, a narrative that contrasted sharply with Catherine's immaculate reputation. Sources close to the palace have recounted instances where Camilla made subtle yet pointed remarks about Catherine's background and mannerisms. One former palace staff member recalled Camilla commenting, "She knows how to smile for the cameras, I'll give her that," a remark that acknowledged Catherine's skill at public appearances, but also suggested a degree of resentment. Another insider reported that Camilla disparaged the Middleton family's business ventures in private conversations, referring to them as tacky party nonsense. Despite these undercurrents of criticism, Catherine maintained her composure, rarely responding publicly to any perceived slights. She chose to keep a polite distance, focusing instead on her royal duties, her children, and her long-term goal of becoming Queen Consort. Friends and aides close to Catherine have described her as a peacemaker, someone who prefers peace over conflict, and who understands the importance of service and duty within the royal family. Nevertheless, the strain of these tensions was not without cost. Catherine was aware that Camilla looked down on her, and sometimes felt the weight of those unspoken judgments. A longtime aide once said that Catherine knew Camilla looked down on her, but that she responded by reminding herself, "We're here to serve, not fight. That's who she is." Catherine's grace under pressure won her widespread admiration from those inside and outside the palace. The rivalry was also exacerbated by Camilla's increased influence within the monarchy following King Charles's coronation. With her new title came greater authority, and Camilla began to bring her own family, including her children and grandchildren, closer to the royal fold. For many observers, this move appeared to be an attempt to establish a rival dynasty within the royal family, blurring the lines between those born into royalty and those connected by marriage. Catherine, who had spent years protecting her children's privacy and carefully managing their public image, reportedly viewed these efforts with alarm. There were concerns that Camilla's family was being positioned too prominently in official royal ceremonies, sometimes even ahead of other members of the family, such as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's children. This created further friction behind the scenes and deepened the divide between the two households. The media also played a role in intensifying the rivalry. Reporters with ties to Camilla's camp began to subtly shift the narrative, portraying Catherine as too reserved, overly controlled, and lacking spontaneity. In contrast, they depicted Camilla as the wise and experienced matriarch, a figure of stability amidst royal uncertainties. One editorial even went so far as to compare Camilla's real-world wisdom with Catherine's perfectionist polish, a comparison that sparked a strong backlash online. Royal observers and the public largely rejected these attempts to reframe the narrative in Camilla's favor. Instead, the public showed growing support for Catherine, praising her calm and dignified approach to royal life. Throughout it all, both Catherine and Prince William maintained their silence, avoiding public disputes and focusing on their responsibilities. Their approach was to play the long game, preferring to avoid palace politics and personal conflicts. Behind the scenes, private efforts were made to ease tensions. Sources say that Camilla made several peace offerings over the years, including joint engagements and small gestures meant to foster goodwill. However, these attempts failed to bridge the growing divide. Many insiders believe that Camilla's resentment over Catherine's rapid rise in public favor prevented any true reconciliation. The breaking point came unexpectedly during what was supposed to be a routine meeting at Clarence's house. The gathering was intended to review the upcoming year's royal events, with King Charles, Queen Camilla, Prince William, and Princess Catherine all present. Staff were there to inform the senior royals about planned public appearances, state visits, and the allocation of family members to specific duties. At first, the meeting proceeded in a courteous and orderly manner. King Charles sat at the head of the table, with Camilla on one side and William and Catherine on the other. However, tensions became apparent when the discussion shifted to a planned joint appearance involving Charles, Camilla, and the Wales family. Camilla reportedly questioned the necessity of Catherine's presence, asking, "Do we really need Catherine there? Sometimes she has a propensity to make everything about herself." The room fell silent. Catherine, surprised, asked for clarification. Camilla smirked and responded, "People come to see the king, not a fashion show." The aides in the room felt uncomfortable, but tried not to react. Catherine responded calmly but firmly, stating, "I am not here for attention, I'm here for duty." The atmosphere was tense, but the situation escalated further when Camilla leaned forward and delivered the comment that broke the fragile peace, "As Diana was." The mention of Diana's name in this context was a clear and deliberate provocation. Within the royal family, the name of the late Princess Diana is regarded as a sensitive and sacred topic. Invoking her name in a disparaging way, especially in front of Prince William, was seen as crossing a line that should never be crossed. The room reportedly froze. Catherine stood up, her voice unsteady, and declared that Camilla would never speak to her again before leaving the room in tears. William followed moments later, his expression filled with anger. What happened next remains somewhat unclear, but sources say that William confronted Camilla directly, informing her that she had crossed an unforgivable boundary. King Charles attempted to intervene, but his efforts were drowned out by the tension in the room. William's message was unequivocal. Camilla had disrespected both his wife and his mother, and she should not expect to see his family again. The meeting ended in chaos. Staff described the atmosphere as radioactive, and royal aides rushed to manage the fallout. Press releases were rewritten, events were rescheduled, and senior advisors scrambled to handle the unexpected crisis. One senior assistant admitted, "We all knew this day was coming, but we didn't expect it to blow up like that." Behind closed doors, Catherine is said to have broken down, not out of weakness, but from the burden of years of restraint and perseverance. Prince William understood the weight of the moment. As a husband, father, and future king, he felt compelled to act decisively to protect his family and uphold the legacy of his late mother. The aftermath of the meeting set the stage for a historic shift in the royal family. Prince William's response was swift and firm. He banned Queen Camila from all future engagements involving his wife and children. This ban was not a temporary cooling-off period, but a permanent and strategic move to exclude Camilla from the inner family circle. The repercussions were immediate. Palace secretaries began redrawing calendars, invitations were rerouted, and the royal press office scrambled to adjust public messaging. William's decision was unprecedented in modern royal history, demonstrating his authority not simply as a prince, but as a leader backed by public trust. This moment marked a turning point in the relationship between the two women and within the monarchy itself. The rivalry between Queen Camilla and Princess Catherine, which had long been a background issue, was now a defining aspect of the royal family's future. The delicate balance between tradition and modernity, personal loyalty and public perception, was tested like never before. As the monarchy continues to navigate these challenges, the question remains: how will these strained relationships shape the institution's path forward? For now, the rivalry has left its mark, and the royal family faces a future where respect, loyalty, and clear boundaries have become essential to maintaining stability. Following the explosive confrontation and Prince William's unprecedented decision to ban Queen Camilla from engagements with his family, the ripple effects have been felt deeply within the royal household. The fallout has exposed the complexities of family dynamics, duty, and loyalty that have long been present but rarely spoken about in public. King Charles found himself caught in a difficult and painful position. Having waited his entire life to become monarch, Charles had hoped that his reign would be a time of renewal and unity for the royal family. His marriage to Camilla had survived many years of public scrutiny and personal hardship, and her eventual acceptance as queen consort was seen as a milestone in his life and reign. However, recent events have put his personal and royal worlds into stark conflict. According to insiders, Charles was devastated to learn of Prince William's decision. At first, he hoped it was an emotional reaction that could be soothed with time and careful conversation. He reached out to William several times, attempting to open a dialogue to mend the damage. Unfortunately, those attempts were met with silence or brief, firm responses. The king soon realized the severity of the situation and the firm stance his son had taken. Private conversations between father and son were reportedly tense and difficult. Charles appealed to William's sense of duty and the importance of unity within the monarchy. He spoke about appearances, the need for togetherness, and the importance of presenting a united front to the public. However, William remained unwavering. To him, the matter was not about appearances or royal protocol. It was about respect. William made it clear that Camilla's comments were deeply disrespectful to both his wife and his mother, Diana, and that there was no going back from that. The king's attempts to mediate were complicated further by Catherine's response. Known for her grace and dignity, Catherine was described as gracious but firm. Despite her composed public persona, she showed no signs of softening her stance. It became clear to Charles that any resolution would have to be reached privately and on his terms, as public intervention could worsen the situation. Caught in the middle, Charles was forced to make difficult decisions behind closed doors. His efforts to appease both sides began to unravel as tensions escalated. Camilla, feeling betrayed and isolated, demanded that Charles defend her. She perceived William's actions as a betrayal after years of hard work and loyalty to the monarchy. From her perspective, she was being cast aside, sacrificed in a conflict she did not start but could not control. At the same time, Charles's own position became increasingly precarious. He was torn between his commitment to his wife and the reality that his son and daughter-in-law represented the future of the monarchy. Camilla's actions had triggered a schism that threatened to weaken the institution Charles had spent decades trying to protect. Palace aides noted a marked change in the king's mood and behavior. The man who had once been seen as steady and calm appeared increasingly withdrawn. His usual warm and engaging remarks became curt and dry, and scheduled peaceful dinners were canceled. Some insiders described Charles as unraveling, struggling to cope with the growing divide within his family. For Charles, the stakes were high. The monarchy depends heavily on public trust and support. Without the backing of the next generation, especially William and Catherine, the institution risks losing relevance. Charles's hope that Camilla would eventually be accepted as queen consort was now in jeopardy. The victory he had hoped for had turned into a painful setback. While Charles publicly stood beside Camilla, offering her support in official appearances, the private reality was far different. He could no longer protect her from the consequences of her actions, or the backlash from William and Catherine. The conflict had become more than a personal feud. It was a battle for the future shape and identity of the British monarchy. Meanwhile, the public response to the royal conflict was swift and decisive. As news of the internal rift spread, social media platforms erupted with widespread support for Catherine. Hashtags such as #StandWithKate, #OurFutureQueen, and #NotMeQueenCamilla gained traction across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Many social media users expressed outrage over Camilla's comments, especially the reference to Diana, which was viewed as a deeply personal and disrespectful attack. One tweet, which was shared over 150,000 times, read, "First, they abused Diana. Now, they've come for Kate. We see a pattern, and we choose the future." The public's reaction reflected a broader shift in loyalty within the royal family. Camilla, already a controversial figure, saw her reputation decline further. Editorials and opinion pieces in major publications became more critical, and once neutral headlines took on sharper tones. Coverage often contrasted Camilla's fading influence with the rising prominence of Catherine and the Wales family. Surveys and polls reinforced this trend. A recent YouGov Flash poll found that 82% of respondents supported Prince William's decision to exclude Camilla from Wales family engagements. Even more striking, nearly 90% praised Catherine's grace under pressure and identified her as the most trustworthy member of the royal family after the late Queen Elizabeth. Royal commentators and insiders were also surprised by the speed and intensity of the public's shift. One observer noted that Catherine did not need to respond publicly to the crisis. Her silence, combined with her composed demeanor, spoke louder than any statement. The public recognized this difference, making their choice clear. Catherine was the queen in waiting, not only by title, but in the hearts of the nation. In contrast, Camilla began to withdraw from public life. She cited health reasons, fatigue, and the need to reassess her schedule as reasons for pulling back from planned events. Meanwhile, Catherine continued to engage with the public, attending children's hospitals, launching new mental health initiatives, and making appearances that showcased her warmth and dedication. Palace insiders noted a palpable shift in power and influence. Staff who previously endured Camilla's mood swings were now openly supportive of the Wales family. Senior advisors referred to Catherine not only by her royal titles, but also as the stabilizing force of the monarchy. Some even suggested that had Catherine already been queen, the recent crisis might have been avoided entirely. Camilla's image continued to suffer. Satirical programs revived past controversies, and documentaries about Diana's legacy gained renewed interest. Each public appearance by Catherine served as a reminder of the contrast between the two women, one associated with dignity and strength, the other increasingly isolated and out of favor. In a monarchy that relies heavily on symbolism and public trust, these developments represent more than just bad publicity. They mark a fundamental shift in the balance of power and influence within the royal family. Catherine's quiet strength has become a new benchmark for royal conduct, setting standards by which all will be judged going forward. The British monarchy has historically survived through appearances, carefully managed smiles, scripted events, and choreographed unity. Yet beneath this polished surface lies the real source of power: public loyalty. In recent years, this loyalty has decisively shifted toward Prince William and Catherine. Prince William's decision to bar Queen Camila from the Wales family's life was neither impulsive nor symbolic. It was a clear, strategic move that signaled a new era for the royal family. By drawing a line in the sand, William sent a message that respect and loyalty are non-negotiable values for the future of the crown. Camilla, once viewed as a necessary compromise in Charles's journey to the throne, now finds herself isolated. Her influence over the Wales family, and by extension the monarchy's future, has been curtailed. this rejection is not the result of scandal or legal decree, but rather a silent but powerful consequence of broken trust. King Charles remains caught between his past and the future. He watches as the institution he built shifts away from his control toward a younger generation that commands public confidence. While Camilla continues to appear alongside him, her role is diminished, shaped not by scandal, but by consequence. At the same time, Catherine stands quietly but firmly as the queen in waiting. Once questioned for her background and style, she has become a beloved figure symbolizing dignity, strength, and continuity. The public sees in her the rightful successor to Diana's legacy, and in her, the future of the monarchy. The line between past and future, tradition and change, has been drawn not with fanfare, but through quiet actions and steadfast resolve. For Camilla, there is little chance of return. Not with William, not with Catherine, and not with a public that has already made its choice. This moment represents a turning point for the British royal family. It is a reminder that monarchy is more than titles and ceremonies. It is about relationships, respect, and the trust of the people. How the family moves forward from here will shape not only its public image, but its very survival in the years to come. As the fallout from the rift between Queen Camila and Princess Catherine continues to unfold, it becomes clear that the British monarchy is facing a moment of profound change. The quiet but firm decisions made behind palace walls reflect a shift not just in family dynamics, but in the very future of the crown. Queen Camila, once the determined figure who fought hard to secure her place beside King Charles, now finds herself increasingly isolated within the institution she has long sought to be part of. The ban imposed by Prince William on all joint engagements with Catherine and the Wales family has effectively removed her from the inner circle of the monarchy's future. While Camilla retains her title and continues to perform her official duties alongside King Charles, her influence over the direction of the royal family has been sharply curtailed. The decision is not a public decree, but a strategic and silent sanction, carried out through actions rather than announcements. Invitations to joint family events have been rescinded, shared appearances forbidden, and her presence at key moments involving William, Catherine, and their children no longer expected. This quiet exclusion has sent a clear message about where loyalty and respect are now centered within the royal family. Camilla's attempts to integrate her own family into the royal fold, bringing her children and grandchildren closer to official ceremonies, are now viewed in a new light. What some once saw as tradition is now perceived by many insiders as a challenge to the established order, a move that blurred lines between those born into the royal bloodline and those connected by marriage. For King Charles, the situation is deeply painful. His decades-long struggle to modernize the monarchy and reconcile his past with his future has been dealt a severe blow. The relationship between Camilla and Catherine, which he once hoped to manage with tact and diplomacy, has escalated into a crisis that threatens the unity and relevance of the institution he now leads. Charles's private anguish is compounded by his understanding of the wider implications. The monarchy depends heavily on public support, and the increasing popularity of William and Catherine has made them the undeniable future of the crown. Camilla, once a symbol of resilience and acceptance, now risks becoming a figure of division and diminishing power. Behind the scenes, palace aides report a palpable change in atmosphere. Staff who once deferred to Camilla's authority now align more openly with the Wales family. Senior advisors speak of Catherine not only with respect for her title, but as a stabilizing force critical to the monarchy's survival. This shift in internal loyalty reflects the growing public sentiment, where Catherine's poised and compassionate public persona contrasts sharply with the controversy surrounding Camilla. The British public's reaction has been decisive and unwavering. After years of quiet support for Camilla's journey toward acceptance, the events surrounding the feud have prompted many to reconsider their views. The backlash against Camilla's comments, especially the reference to Diana, sparked a wave of social media campaigns in support of Catherine. Hashtags endorsing the Princess of Wales trended across platforms, reflecting a broader desire for a monarchy that embodies dignity, respect, and unity. Public opinion polls reinforce this shift. Catherine consistently ranks as one of the most trusted and admired figures in the royal family, with many viewing her as the rightful heir to Diana's legacy. In contrast, Camilla's approval ratings have fallen, marking a stark reversal from previous years. This public divide has implications beyond individual reputations. The monarchy's survival relies on its ability to adapt and maintain public trust. The rift between Camilla and Catherine highlights the challenges of balancing tradition with the changing expectations of a modern society. One of the key issues at play is the question of succession and legacy. Catherine, with her commitment to service and carefully cultivated public image, represents continuity and renewal. Her role as a mother, patron of numerous charities, and advocate for mental health initiatives resonates deeply with the public. She embodies the qualities many expect of a future queen: steadfastness, compassion, and an ability to connect with people from all walks of life. Camilla's role, on the other hand, has become more complex. While she remains a senior royal and queen consort, her public image is weighed down by years of controversy and the recent feud. Her perceived attempts to assert influence over the royal family's future through the inclusion of her own family members have sparked concerns about the dilution of royal traditions and the rise of competing factions within the palace. The exclusion of Camilla from the Wales family's engagements also speaks to deeper questions about the nature of the monarchy today. The British Crown is no longer simply a hereditary institution. It is an organization that must navigate public opinion, media scrutiny, and evolving social values. The dynamics between the royals reflect these broader pressures. The decision by Prince William to impose a lifetime ban on Camilla's joint appearances with his family was unprecedented in modern royal history. It demonstrated a new kind of leadership, one that prioritizes respect and boundaries over tradition and deference. William's actions were not merely about family disputes. They were about protecting the integrity of the institution and the legacy of his mother. The king, while publicly supporting Camilla, is left to manage the consequences of this rift. His attempts to mediate between his wife and son have failed, leaving him in a position where he must accept a monarchy divided. Charles's reign, already marked by efforts to modernize and restore trust in the crown, now faces perhaps its greatest test. For the public, the story has clear heroes and villains. Catherine is widely celebrated for her quiet strength and ability to maintain dignity under pressure. Her continued public service, particularly in areas like children's welfare and mental health, has solidified her status as a beloved figure. Camilla, meanwhile, is often portrayed as the antagonist, struggling to regain favor in an institution that appears to be moving on without her. The broader royal family is also impacted by these developments. Relationships between other members, including those with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, have been influenced by the shifting power dynamics. The focus on William and Catherine as the future of the monarchy has left little room for Camilla's faction to expand or assert influence. Looking ahead, the British monarchy faces an uncertain future. The recent crisis has exposed fault lines that will require careful navigation. How the family manages internal disputes, public perception, and the balance between tradition and change will be critical to its survival. For Camilla, the path forward is unclear. Isolated from the Wales family, she must redefine her role within the monarchy. Her ability to remain relevant and influential may depend on how she manages this exclusion and whether she can rebuild bridges in the years to come. For Catherine and William, the responsibility is immense. As the most trusted figures in the royal family, they carry the hopes of the public and the weight of tradition. Their leadership style, calm, respectful, and focused on service, may well determine the monarchy's ability to adapt and endure. In the end, the feud between Queen Camilla and Princess Catherine is more than a family dispute. It is a reflection of the challenges facing an ancient institution in a modern world. It highlights the tensions between past and future, between personal loyalty and public duty. The British monarchy has long been defined by its symbolism and rituals. But today, true power lies in public trust and respect. The recent events have shown that this trust is fragile and must be guarded carefully. As King Charles watches the crown pass gradually toward a new generation, he is forced to confront a reality he may not have fully anticipated. The monarchy's future is no longer assured by tradition alone, but depends on the ability of its members to earn and maintain the confidence of the people. Princess Catherine's rise to prominence signals a new chapter, one where dignity, empathy, and quiet strength define what it means to be royal. Queen Camilla's diminished role underscores the consequences of conflict and the shifting alliances within the palace. Ultimately, the story of this royal feud will be remembered as a defining moment in the evolution of the British monarchy. It is a reminder that even the most powerful institutions are vulnerable to change, and that respect, loyalty, and public support are the true currencies of power in today's world.